Hi, my name is Peter Green. A few days ago, my wife Kathy brought home a wintergreen plant for the winter solstice. As you can see, it continues to have bright green leaves and red berries even in the depths of a New England winter. Wintergreen has been used for centuries or more in traditional medicine and is often used topically by herbalists to relieve muscle pain, joint pain, and inflammation. This plant brought back memories of a hot date ruined. I say ruined, it wasn't my mother that ruined it, but it was the wintergreen that ruined it by my herbalist mother. To explain, at age 12, I had started helping my dad and uncle in their jobbing gardening business. But now, by age 15, I had taken over the business as my dad got busy with St. John's Ambulance Brigade and alcoholism started to tighten its grip on my Uncle Horace. With this business, I found I could earn enough money on a Saturday to afford to take a girl out on a Saturday night date. While I was no great catch, not being on the rugby team or the football team, I found that girls were willing to go out on a date with me, especially if I volunteered to pay for the movies. So, on this particular Saturday night, I had a hot date planned with some nubile young woman of around my age. On this day, the customer wanted me to prune a few branches from their fruit tree. As the tree was not too tall and I could easily climb up the tree, I readily agreed. The customer had a rusty old saw, which I used as I didn't have anything better. Maybe that's why after moving to the USA, I truly came to appreciate the succession of trusty chainsaw that I have owned. All went well in cutting the tree until the last branch, which was higher than the rest. So I had to lean back at an awkward angle and then saw it. And as I pulled back on the saw, I felt a muscle let go in my neck with a sharp pain. Being young and not knowing any better, I finished up the job, collected my money, and was on my way home to get ready for my hot date. But by the time I arrived home, my head was lolling to one side and I was in considerable pain. My mother, being the English equivalent of a shaman, immediately set to and prepared a potion from some wintergreen she had growing in her small garden, which she liberally applied to my sore neck muscle. The potion did take away the pain in my neck, but I smelled of a very strong wintergreen ointment. My mother suggested that I cancel my date, but undeterred, I decided to press forward with my plans for my evening date. It is amazing the willpower of a 15-year-old boy pursuing a hot date with some nubile young woman. So I met my hot date outside the cinema, and I am sure she was nonplussed by her date, arriving with his head lolling to one side like a freak and having a massive odor of wintergreen. We did watch the movie, which I cannot remember, but as soon as we left the cinema, my hot date rushed off to be as far away from me as possible, and I was left to walk home all alone. No kiss, no thanks, no follow-on date. Ah well, as I later speculated on having worked for several hours to afford this date, plus injuring my neck, to get to know this nubile young woman, I learned a valuable life lesson, that women can be expensive and sometimes not very forgiving. In preparing this video, I learned that wintergreen has amazing medicinal properties and that my mother did exactly the right thing for my pulled neck muscle, if not for my hot date. As a postscript, I subsequently learned of the incident that ended my father and uncle's partnership in their jobbing gardening business. They had a customer with a large overgrown cherry tree in the back garden that was starting to suffer from tree rot due to neglect. My uncle, who thought he knew everything about horticulture as his father had been a head gardener, said he would prune it back to health. So, while my father was working in the front garden, he left my uncle in the back garden to prune the tree. Sometime later, he heard someone yelling at his brother in a very angry voice and rushed into the back garden, only to find only about 3 feet of the main tree was left, all of which in this tree had been over 20 feet tall, and that there was just one small branch off this tree trunk and with one solitary leaf at the end of that branch. The rest of the tree was gone. The property owner was naturally very angry, while my uncle was trying to explain that he had just done as requested and has got rid of all the tree rot, which he certainly had done. And he said, well, then the tree will probably grow back in about 20 years ago and will be 20 years or so and will be healthier. The owner naturally refused to pay for all the work my dad had done and threatening to sue them both if they did not leave his property immediately. Whether my uncle was drunk at the time is not recorded, but he certainly suffered from the Dunning-Kruger effect, where people think they know more than they do about a topic, sometimes, as in this case, with disastrous outcomes. As a result, my father and uncle's business partnership broke up, and I inherited a job in gardening business. I ran this business for about a year before going on to be trained as an electronics technician in an early stage electronics company in preparation for going on to university to study electrical and electronic engineering. But that year, running my own business taught me how to deal with unhappy customers, which is to apologize profusely even if the customer is wrong, and to try to understand what the customers really want rather than what they need. The lessons I learned as a teenager have stood me in good stead in my subsequent career as an entrepreneur and also with my 3 wives and the other women in my life. Thank you for watching this video. I hope it was interesting. Please click on the like button and subscribe if you'd like to see more videos like this on a wide variety of topics.